here in Winston-Salem. Ryan Young jumps back into the starting lineup for the Blue Devils. Kyle Filipowski wins the tip. Tyrese Proctor at the controls, and away we go on a big night of ACC hoops.
Now we talked about that Roach-Appleby matchup. Those two are indeed guarding one another.
Jimmy Roach got a lot of time off in the long day off for Duke. They last played 10 days ago. You said he didn't play in that game. They gave him 4 or 5 full days off, John Shire told us this morning. And Roach can't connect to start it out for Duke.
Now, in his career, Roach has never been a great three-point shooter, but he is much improved from three-point range this year.
Duke 10-2, Wake Forest 8-4. You mentioned Appleby, who last Monday sprained that ankle in practice. And Hildreth, second leading scorer, got his own miss, and the foul for the sophomore Matt Marsh, the 7'1" big man from England.
Boy, that's a lot of opportunities. The Duke Blue Devils are an outstanding rebounding team.
As good as it gets, especially with offensive rebounding. As we check out the Blue Devils starters, we told you Ryan Young, the grad transfer from Northwestern, returns. Kyle Filipowski starts the Duke scoring, and boy, you think he might need to have a big night for Duke.
That's going to be a tough matchup for Andrew Carr, who now tries to return the favor.
11 and wide, the Delaware transfer on an up fake. Missed the bunny. Through some contact, he wanted a foul.
Well, he missed the close shot, but he had Filipowski at 7'1", and Young at 6'10", harassing him. But that's going to be a tough matchup because Filipowski, he's 7 feet tall, but he moves very, very well. Carr has given up a couple of inches to him.
It's Filipowski out there on Carr. Now the very quick Appleby. No nice from deep around Mitchell, but another offensive rebound. Steve Forbes told us at shoot-around today, we're not a good rebounding team. He was very concerned about that against Duke. Hildreth in the post, comes up short, well defended by Proctor.
Now, Hildreth in that situation, he's just got to find the open man. I'm not sure that that's going to work very often against Proctor. Proctor is 6'5", 175 pounds. Hildreth has himself mismatched inside against Filipowski.
Instead, it's Young going to work on Marsh. Ryan Young with his first two.
And Young he's not like Filipowski. Filipowski is really a perimeter player in the 7-footer's body. Young is a back-to-the-basket, low-post kind of guy. Very experienced.
King of the pivot. He and Justin Mutz might lead the league in that category as Hildreth scores on the interior in the mid-post.
Well, that's got to be the game plan for Wake Forest. Every time down, Hildreth has touched the ball, handled it extensively, and he's taken a couple of shots.
4-4 in the early going, just over 2.5 minutes in. Roach runs off a screen. Appleby trying to stick with him. Post entry for Young. Back out Proctor. Can't connect, rebound Carr.
Now Wake doesn't really look to run unless Appleby's the guy at the controls. They're not trying to slow it down.
Damari Monsanto now.
And there's no slowing that guy down.
No.
He's never seen a three-point shot he didn't like.
He hit 6 of them in the loss Saturday at Rutgers in Piscataway, and he's in the starting lineup with Davian Williamson now coming back off the bench again. Mitchell had it poked away, and Monsanto does run. He throws the ball for Marsh.
You talk about running, Marsh runs very well for a big guy, and they really like to throw him that lob.
John Shire said to us this morning, we've got to make Wake Forest a half-court team. Filipowski flashed on the block. Carr wrestled it away. Carr hits the deck. The loose ball to Monsanto.
Now this is where Wake likes to push when Appleby gets the ball.
Instead, slow things down and set up the offense with Hildreth. Having on Proctor.
See, the whole side's cleared for him.
He loves to post up. Kicks it out through the contact. Carr on a baseline drive. Shut off there. Appleby hoists. And is fouled by Roach in the corner as the shot clock was winding down. The steal at one end. Monsanto poked it away, and then the lob up top for Matt Marsh.
Auto owners, ensures it.
Week and a half to get healthy, to get Jeremy Roach rested and recovered from the toe injury, and now you've got Lively and Whitehead sick and not with the team. And they didn't practice the last few days, so they're at the tail end of it as opposed to the beginning of their illness. And he said, yeah, obviously we're frustrated by it, but the good news is, like you said earlier, they're used to playing without those guys a little bit as it relates to just tonight.
Well, John Shire, he may be the youngest head coach in the Power Conference, but he's been around long enough to know that you don't really win anything in November and December. It's about putting your team together, and he's done a real nice job. I mean, there are only 2 losses are to Kansas and Purdue.
We're both top 4 teams. The poll that came out yesterday, Kansas number 4, Purdue number 1.
Both teams have been exclusively in man-to-man. Here's Jacob Grandison in the game. He's really a good guy off the bench.
Roach misses from deep. Davion Bradford, the Kansas State transfer, 20 and White with the rebound.
And interestingly enough, Wake Forest has done it. It's early, but they've done a pretty good job keeping Duke off the offensive boards. Duke is an outstanding offensive rebounding team.
Filipowski got switched on to Appleby. Williamson straight on. Williamson.
I'm going to tell you, the Wake Forest offense operates much more effectively than Davion Williamson is knocking down threes.
It's a 9-0 run the last 2.5 minutes.
Now, Duke hadn't been able to get the ball inside with the exception of that one play by Young. They need to try to get it in there.
He's calling for it. Filipowski. And stroke it from deep, and Appleby runs it down. And Wake Forest has all the momentum. Corner kick for Carr. Comes up short. Young clears it. Who's got to step up for Duke? Short-handed tonight.
Well, obviously, I think the key guy out there is Roach. He's got to put the ball in guys' hands, and he did a pretty good job that time creating some space.
Here's Grandison, who you mentioned. Got his pivot foot and strokes it from the free throw line.
Now, he kept his pivot foot, but he created some space there with an elbow. He hit Williamson, and Williamson went down in the middle of the lane, and that's why Grandison was open.
The officials will look at this.
It's a good pivot by Grandison, then he turns, and I'm not sure that there was that much contact there.
It didn't seem like a ton, did it?
No, it didn't. But remember, Williamson is a guy who has been injured. He has had a bad back, and so
which, if there's going to be anything, that's all
that it would have been. But they decided there was nothing, and there's probably the only person unhappy with that is Steve Forbes. Well, and all the Wake Forest fans in the building.
We'll count them too. Hildreth again posting up, dishing for Bradford. Working on Young, carving out space, and he missed the reverse.
Well, Young did a great job maintaining his position, and the Wake Forest players have to do a better job moving to open spots when Hildreth is going one-on-one down in there.
Jalen Blakes has it kicked by Appleby on the entry for Filipowski.
So they reset the shot clock to 20. So far, the Deacons have done a nice job setting the half-court defense. Very little for Duke in transition, but I really think the Blue Devils have to try to get the ball inside.
Roach in the mid-range. Blakes an offensive rebound and put back. Oh, Jalen Blakes with a strong move.
Well, we're talking about Duke's offensive rebounding. We weren't necessarily talking about Jalen Blakes.
Appleby dumped it off, turned it over, and now Duke runs with Filipowski coughing it up, but last touched by Carr. We chatted with Steve Forbes for what, maybe an hour at shoot-around today. We suggested to him, should we mic you up for a game? And he said, not going to happen.
He said maybe his last game. He's been very successful here. Been very successful every place he's ever been.
And he comes in after a game in which he told us Rutgers manhandled us. They turned it over 22 times.
Right, they were doing pretty well with the turnovers, but the last 2 possessions they have turned it over. And Wake that's one of the places where they've struggled this year. They average almost 14 turnovers a game.
A big problem for Wake Forest, and coming off that Rutgers game, some similarities to how Rutgers defends and how Duke defends, and cause for concern for Steve Forbes.
Well, you can see 14 is the magic number.
Roach skips it for Grandison, a great shooter, and he knocks it down.
That's what we're talking about. Grandison is an outstanding shooter. We said 60% of his attempts are threes. Nice job causing the defense to collapse and getting Grandison open.
Duke had missed its first 5 threes, and now
this?
Appleby scoops plus a foul.
We talked about what a dynamic player he is. I didn't think there was anything there. I have no idea how he got any sort of a shot at all. He gets down there in traffic. What a great use of the pivot foot. And that's not a play everybody can make. Really does a nice job of just flipping that ball up there.
Third in the ACC in scoring. And Tyree Appleby has an early 5. He's only behind Caleb Love and Terquavion Smith. So Wake by 3, just about 8 minutes into this first half. After attacks and draws a foul.
Mike, when we were talking about getting the ball inside, we don't necessarily mean post-up moves. You take the ball and drive it to the basket. You can get it inside that way as well. And Proctor really does a nice job driving the ball to the goal.
Well, we have seen some amazing fans across the ACC, and now we need your help. Throughout the winter, ACC Network wants to experience each sport from your perspective. So snap a pic or take a video, tag with the hashtag #AllTheDevotion, and post it on social. You just might see it on ACC Network. So split it to strike for Proctor and a 2-point game.
Here goes Hilderson.
Appleby kicked it out. Williamson recovers midway through the shot clock.
That would be really nice to drive it inside and jump up in the air and make those passes.
Hildreth working on Blakes, who recovered nicely.
He did a really nice job staying in front of Hildreth and then got back to block the shot.
Mitchell to the corner for Grandison. John Shire has wanted him to take more open shots. Quick trigger these last few possessions.
I think you'll take that shot every time from Grandison.
Absolutely. Appleby bounces for Bradford. On the open.
That was a great delivery by Appleby. Bradford actually, you should just catch that and dunk it. He was very fortunate that he didn't get that shot blocked because he had to compose himself, dribble before he could get to the goal.
He's up on Young. Backing down. Mitchell for Blakes with a quick step. Blakes loops it back out for Mitchell. Yes. It is a line drive stroke, but it is effective.
Well, he's shooting over 40% from out there, and that's his 10th of the year. And particularly when you're going to give him that much room, he's going to make you pay.
Ball screen from Bradford. Young showed. Hildreth now off the bounce with 10 to shoot. Williamson drives on Mitchell, who didn't bite. Top follow-away goes.
Williamson is a guy who can put some points on the board.
He's got 5. Mitchell with Hildreth on him. Mitchell spins, and the lefty doesn't get the roll.
That was a real good job by Bradford. He's young and big.
Remaining margin +5 to Wake. Last touch by Duke. It belongs to the Deacons on the other side of the 3-point game for Wake here at home. Bradford the jam at one end. Duke a couple of threes over these last few minutes. Derek Lively.
Obviously, Lively is an outstanding rebounder, and he's got some quickness that would bother the Wake Forest big guys. So certainly some of it is, but I think Wake is just playing with tremendous intensity and making sure they're blocking out.
And if you're just joining us, no Derek Lively, no Derek Whitehead. They are sick. They're not with the team. The roommates did not make the trip. I hope they're feeling better and get back to action soon. Long 3 goes from outside for Bobby Limpman. Just his 5th made 3, the freshman from Sweden.
And he's only shooting 20% from out there, but Steve Forbes would like him to get more involved, a little bit more aggressive, particularly on the offensive end.
Very talented player who played in high school with Mark Mitchell. Grandison missed it. Wake by 6. They push. And Appleby was out of bounds on the sideline, and that's the third Deacs turnover.
I mean, those are just the turnovers you can't make. Wake has a little bit of a push here. Suddenly they're up by 6, and you turn the ball over. And that wasn't really a forced turnover. I thought Proctor did a really nice job that time in transition finding Monsanto. Monsanto's very willing to shoot that ball in that sort of a situation.
You have to locate 30 and white at all times. Filipowski now. He's only got 2 points on 1 of 4 shooting.
He's had a couple of open looks that he makes a very high percentage of that he hadn't made.
Freshman averages 15 and 9 for Duke. Williamson. Shut off by Proctor. Drops it back out for Clinton. Matched up with his old high school teammate. And Clinton lost it with good hands from Blakes. Ahead of the pack. Up top.
Blakes has really been a boost for Duke coming off the bench. Roach is back in the game now, but Roach has started slowly. 0 for 3 from the field, no assists. Played about 10 minutes now. But Blakes has really been good taking the ball to the basket, and he's been very good defensively against Appleby.
Presses out on him, swipes at it, but Appleby recovered. Shot clock below 10 for Davian Williamson.
There's just no place to go.
Roach all over him, forces Williamson into a tough shot and a shot clock violation. Great D.
Really a nice job by the Blue Devils to force Wake Forest to the perimeter. I mean, that's just Wake Forest. They're killing themselves. With turnovers. They turned it over 22 times against Rutgers. They've now turned it over 5 times in this game. And when you do that, not only do you lose the opportunity to score, but lots of times you give the other guys an easy opportunity on the other end.
And now that's an unforced turnover on Duke's side for the Filipowski travel.
Well, Filipowski really has good footwork, and he does a nice job. He's quick enough that he can get around Marsh, and he just got a little impatient at that time. He thought, oh, okay, I'm outside. I can go right around this guy.
Wake by 4, under 8 to go first half. Clinton for Appleby. The lob. Marsh again.
And twice now they've lobbed it up the corner.
He's got a half dozen. 4th assist for Tyree Appleby. As Filipowski through contact will go to the line for 2. 6-point lead for Wake Forest here at the Joel, and Tyree Appleby has been at the control so far in the first half.
I wish I could say I didn't know how hard it is to feed my family during the holidays.
Hey, Dad, can we make cookies?
But I've been there.
Pretty good. He's turned it over a couple times, but he's got 5 points. He's got 4 assists. He's got 2 rebounds. And his assists, and he's also been fouled twice. He's really done a nice job keeping the pressure on that Duke defense. When he gets past them out on the perimeter, the big guys have to step up toward him, and all of his assists have been to the big guys inside for Wake.
And Matt Marsh is a dunking machine so far. Kyle Filipowski just split, so he's got 3 points. Jeremy Roach is scoreless. Those are, of course, the top 2 scorers for the Blue Devils. Appleby kicks to the corner. Monsanto strokes it.
That's what he does. I was actually surprised that he didn't pull the trigger right away. But he reset his feet.
Marsh commits the foul on Roach. Largest lead for Wake here at 8.
That's good recognition by Roach. He sees the big guy on him. He takes the ball and tries to go to the basket. I think Duke needs to do more of that. They don't want to settle for the outside shot. Put some pressure on that Wake Forest defense.
Outside shot again goes awry for Filipowski.
And he can make the outside shot, but for heaven's sakes, he's 7'1". Maybe try to get a little closer.
Appleby working on Roach, adjusting, and short Roach the rebound.
Roach did a nice job, even though he got beat out on the perimeter, catching up.
He drives, and Clinton poked it away, and they say last touch by Roach, and it belongs to Wake.
The first thing the ball touched out of bounds was Roach, and so that's why the ball is out of bounds, and it's out of bounds out off Roach. This is a good job by Roach to try to get in the lane. Nice defense by Clinton. The ball hit Roach on the foot. as he was standing out of bounds.
Roger Ayers presiding. Appleby, such a high usage player, missed it, tipped out to Mitchell.
There was a bit of force that time. That was really good defense by the Blue Devils.
Under 6.5 to go in this first half. And Winston-Salem, Wake 0-1 in the ACC, Duke 1-0. Had a win against Boston College. Corner three for Blakes, won a first half. He's got 7.
He's really been outstanding. He's been a force coming off the bench. Hasn't been a great three-point shooter, but that one looked good.
Coach Heyer hinted at his importance when we chatted with him this morning. They've only got 7 deep. No Christian Reeves, no Jaden Shute. And now a foul on Wake on a Ryan Young rebound.
This is a nice job. Carr has to come down inside to help out against Young. And Blakes just goes finds the open spot in the corner. You don't want to stand there and be a spectator. If your guy leaves you, go find an open spot. Your teammate can get to the ball.
Clemson picked up his second. He goes out. Blakes at the control. He only scored 10 points his last 5 games. I told you he's got 7 here in the first half. Now he slices and he lost his footing around Monsanto. Good recovery by Roach. Carr hits. John Shire wants a timeout. Wake by 8. Back in 30 ticks to Winston-Salem. New Pacific.
Mike, Wake Forest so far has made 4 3-pointers and by 4 different guys, and the Deacons can be very effective when they don't turn it over and they're making threes.
Ryan Young on the finish. Good feed from Kyle Filipowski.
How does a 6'10 guy, 235, find himself all alone underneath the basket?
Ryan Young's got 4 for Duke. The lead a half dozen for Wake. Under 5 to go in the half. Hilbert spinning. MacArthur snatches it.
Hilbert has really forced a couple of them.
Roach, crafty dribbling. What a pass for Mitchell. And it popped down. Hildreth in transition. Smartly backs it out now to Carr.
He backed it out, but he should have pitched that ahead to Appleby.
Here's Appleby. Lobbed it up. Marsh to the corner. Truly, he has never shot.
Well, Monsanto can make that shot. He just missed it.
Roach on the baseline. It's a Duke turnover.
I think actually Monsanto was a bit surprised that the pass came out of there quickly. He didn't have his feet set. Wake has done a really nice job pushing the ball up the court and finding open players, open shooters in transition. Appleby's going to the bench to get a little bit of a breather.
Keep an eye on that. It goes out in a 6-point game. Can Duke make some headway with Wake's star out of the game? Carr driving off the shot fake. Got flash to 2.
Did a nice job using his body against Filipowski to create that space where he could score. This is really important last 4 minutes, I think. Wake sort of has the game under control. But, you know, they give that appearance, but you know, if they turn it over, it's going to be tough.
Roach. Young an offensive rebound. Mitchell to the rack and a foul.
We talked about Wake and the fact that they've done a pretty good job on their defensive boards, but they did not do that this time. And that creates a problem. It's not a turnover, but the offensive rebound draws the foul and the basket.
Workers' comp can crush a small business.
4 second chance points.
Chance at a 3-point play here. Steve Forbes, meanwhile, was not happy about the foul call that puts Mitchell in position to stamp that 3-point play. Tyree Appleby's still out of the game. He's getting his first breather of the night on the Wake Forest sideline. So it's Hildreth attacking. Duke wanted him walking with it. Filipowski blocks him anyway.
Hildreth now 1 for 6. And he's had 2 of his shots blocked.
And a couple turnovers. Grandison, too strong. One-arm rebound by Carr.
Because he was blocking out with the other arm. Boy, Monsanto, he's jumping up and down on the other end because he was all alone.
Carr. Oh, that is smooth.
He was mismatched in transition. Wake pushed it up quickly, so in transition he found himself up against Roach, and he did a nice job making that mid-range shot, jump shot.
6'10" Delaware transfer with a lot of skill. And Andrew Carr has 7. He has struggled against their high major opponents to score this year. Young underneath Filipowski.
Filipowski was mismatched inside against Williamson, and Williamson left him when he cut across the lane because he thought Monsanto was going to pick him up. Monsanto didn't see him.
No Lively, no Whitehead, and Jeremy Roach hasn't scored yet. Duke only trails by 5. Hildreth gets it to go. Filipowski.
Well, Hildreth continues to be extremely aggressive. He's taking more shots than anybody else on Wake's team. He's now 2 for 7.
More from England. Filipowski. Ball away was too strong, and it's last touch by Duke and Ryan Young. We've got a college basketball doubleheader tomorrow night for you right here on OCCN and the app. Number 21, Virginia Tech in Chestnut Hill to face Boston College at 6:30 Eastern. Then in Tallahassee, Florida State and Notre Dame. So by the way, after this game here, top 25 showdown for you. Virginia and Miami in a really good game tonight.
Miami has played so well so far this year. Boy, I don't know what happened there, but that's the kind of a giveaway that you simply can't afford in a game like this.
Costly as Proctor laid it in.
Now, Proctor jumped up in the air to pass the ball, and there was nobody to pass it to.
Williamson behind the back. David Williamson, that's his first.
It's only the 16th foul against Wake Forest, so there won't be any shots, but
Proctor to key it in. Roach driving, kicking. Proctor off the mark. Rebound ripped away from Ryan Young by Andrew Carr. On a hit ahead for Williamson. With Young retreating, and a foul will put Davian Williamson at the line.
Carr just simply could not make the pass that he wanted to make. He was in traffic, didn't get enough oomph on that ball. If he throws that so Williamson can catch it in stride, that's a layup. Carr does a great job wrestling the ball away, and he just can't get enough on the pass. But what a great job by Young to get back there. Young is the guy who lost the rebound down on the one end, but he sprinted up to the other end. He committed the foul, but he prevented the easy basket.
Ryan Young is playing heavy minutes for Duke. He's at 16 minutes in this first half. Averages 20. Steve Forbes will take a timeout. And we'll take it as well. Inside the final minute of this.
Sight games.
They come here. There's no students. Winter break here at Wake Forest. Late first half, 7-point game. Demon Deacons in front of the Blue Devils. And Bonner, Mike Monaco, our entire crew with you from the Joel. Pitch back for Grandison. Can't knock it down, and Duke is now 3 of 15 from 3.
Steve Forbes called that timeout to get Appleby back in the game for the last 50 seconds. Of course, it was a use it or lose it timeout.
About an 8-second difference between game and shot clocks here at the end of the first half.
And they're obviously going to run it down as far as they can.
Appleby off the hop. And Mark Mitchell commits his first foul.
And now Wake Forest can hold it for the last shot of the half. It's only the 4th team foul by the Blue Devils. The Blue Devils have done a nice job defensively without fouling.
Jalen Blakes checks into the game. He matches up with Hildreth.
And that's where they're going with the ball.
And Hildreth is going to the line. That's 2 on Blakes.
Well, Hildreth, they list him at 6'4", 200 pounds, and he is a guy, he really likes to get inside and use his body in there. He's a hard-nosed, competitive guy.
He's the sophomore from England. He's got his folks here today. Dad on the left.
Dad's having a good time.
Mom on the right.
Daniel, I didn't see anybody telling jokes, but he seems to be enjoying himself.
He knew he was going to be on TV, too. He got the clean fade. Matt Marsh, also from England, his family here as well. That one rolls in, so Hildreth makes both, and it's the largest lead of the half for the Demon Deacons. Roach with Carr switched onto him.
Filipowski's matched inside against Appleby.
And instead, a tough 2 comes up empty. And as loud as this place has been all night, sends us to halftime.
1 for 4 from beyond the arc. And usually they play there at their best when he's making those threes.
Pretty organized look. Side out of bounds to begin the second half.
Well, I mean, with your Wake Forest, given their turnover history, you can't take anything for granted.
7 turnovers in that first half. Right on that average of the team we told you about. Right on cue. Appleby and Monsanto can't connect. Proctor on a step through a little early on there. He came up short, and then Roach fouls Hildreth.
And that's sort of the first half in a little capsule right there, Mike. That was a very bad pass by Appleby. You're throwing the ball across like that. Monsanto can't come up with. So they get the turnover, but they cannot convert. That was great defense in transition by Hildreth, and all he did was prevent Proctor from getting past him.
Cody Roach scoreless. Proctor, meanwhile, only 3 points for him. So that's all for the backcourt. And Marsh tried to yam on Ryan Young, and it pops out to Roach.
We've seen that a couple of times, and it's been successful. Boy, Young ran the court. He was wide open. They missed him.
He had a good first half. 4 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists.
Filipowski struggled in the first half.
2 for 7. On the roll, can't handle the catch from Proctor. Another turnover. Appleby drives. Shot by Tyrese Proctor.
It's very easy to say that you have to keep Appleby in front of you, and it's a very hard thing to do. But once Appleby gets by you, he can be so dangerous and creative, that time electing to take it to the basket himself.
Steve Forbes told us he wanted to see Appleby getting back to the free throw line. Rutgers was really physical with him, Steve Forbes said on Saturday.
Well, Appleby's not like a huge guy. They list him at 6'1", 165. And Rutgers has big physical guards.
Men. Appleby, an excellent free throw shooter. He's good on both. And the lead swells to 11.
We've just got to get something figured out offensively here. Again, I think going inside is the key.
Filipowski got his own miss, and he's fouled by Marsh with a chance at 3.
Filipowski just forced it in there, and you might say, well, boy, maybe he shouldn't try to force it in there, but in doing so, he gets all the way to the basket. He doesn't score, but he's in there for the rebound. He chases the ball down himself, the old Moses Malone move. You miss it, you get the rebound.
The country off to an excellent start. So you just want to see him be more aggressive. More of that. Just burrow your way to the cup.
Yeah, get to the goal. Don't settle for those three-point baskets. He's a good three-point shooter, but he was 0 for 3 in the first half.
9 3-point game. Hildreth on the back cut, stops and hits.
Hildreth is not afraid of anything. That was a really good stop, and rather than take it to the lane, he just tried to float it up over the big guys in there.
Carr got switched onto Roach. Filipowski with some size on Monsanto.
Needs to take him down.
Offensive foul.
But that's the right idea, but it's the wrong approach. If you can't get by the guy, you don't try to bull your way by. This is a nice job by Monsanto moving his feet, and Filipowski throws that arm up out there, making it easy for the official. When you take that dribble, if he's there, you pass it back out.
Feel him trying to
force
things and make something happen. Hildreth off the cross. Appleby. On a Roach.
Wow. Now, you can't defend that. Blue Devils desperate to need a basket.
Monsanto nearly took it away. Mitchell on the pivot to the cup.
That's exactly where they need to go. Mitchell's got a size advantage on the inside, too. What great patience by Mitchell to not panic when that ball got knocked around.
I need some stops, too, if you're Duke.
Obviously, you're not going to catch up if you don't get stops. Math is pretty simple.
We can handle that. Carr back out for Hildreth. Filipowski on it. Hildreth got tangled with his footing there. All sorts of pivoting. Again on Filipowski.
I think he hurt his ankle with Hildreth. He's looking for a foul.
Mitchell attacks and draws a foul on Carr. To Monsanto, his second. So Mark Mitchell to the free throw line. 77% free throw shooter. Wednesday is National Signing Day for football. We've got you covered right here on ACC Network and the app. We'll have our annual special breaking down all the recruits, all the highlights, evaluations, with coverage starting of the 1 hour show at 3 Eastern.
Well, the Blue Devils only attempted 5 free throws in the first half, and that's already 3 for them here in the second half. So that's a good sign, being a little bit more aggressive on the inside. Now they got to pick it up on the defensive end.
For the first time since 10 days ago against Maryland Eastern Shore. And Blake's took it away from Appleby, and a turnover.
Now Blake's dribbled the ball into trouble there, and Wake Forest is very fortunate that they get it back. Now they'll get 30 seconds on the shot clock because they recovered the ball in the backcourt on the change of possession.
Thought we'd see more of this from Wake Forest. High ball screens. They did a lot of that against Duke 2 years ago. The lob. It's Morse with the hammer on top of Ryan Young.
Appleby is so effective throwing that pass, and you're right, Mike. You set that screen in the middle of the court, and it's hard to bring defensive help. Young tries to react to Appleby to stop him and gives him just enough room to throw that pass to Marsh. And Young is a little too far away to get back, although Marsh is a very poor free throw shooter.
Quick take to the cup by Roach. Back down to 10.
That's his first basket, isn't it?
First points for Jeremy Roach. We had seen him before he sat out that Maryland Eastern Shore game with his toe issue. He was fantastic at the Garden against Iowa. Carr back out for Hildreth. Shadowed by Mitchell. 10 to shoot. Hildreth off the bounce. Gets into the post. And gets the roll.
It was interesting that Roach didn't drop down inside to help out. He was staying on the outside with Monsanto.
Got to do that.
Yes, absolutely.
Here's Mitchell. Back to Roach, directing things. Wants a ball screen from Young. Snakes it. Roach lost the handle. Carr pushes. Appleby with him. Andrew Carr. It's a blocking foul.
You have to give that ball to Appleby. Somehow you have to figure out how to get it to him.
Appleby throwing lobs and knocking down three.
Second half, they're 4 for 4. They haven't missed any shots.
A lot of high percentage shots as far as the dunks go. Carr good on the first for 2. The foul was on Jalen Blake's, his third. He stays in for John Shire.
Well, Appleby, you can't ask him to do much more. He's got 10 points. He's got 6 rebounds. He's got 6 assists, 3 rebounds. Now, he does have 6 turnovers, but Wake Forest hasn't really been hurt as much by the turnovers today as they have been in some of their other games.
Roach lost it. Grandison dove for it, and it's right back to the Demon Deacons.
And one of the reasons is that Duke has turned it over as well. Wake's turned it over 11 times, but that's the 10th turnover for the Blue Devils. So the Blue Devils not having a big advantage in the turnover department. And we've mentioned a couple times, Duke an outstanding offensive rebounding team, but they only have 4 tonight.
5 of those 10 turnovers in these first 5 minutes out of halftime for John Shire's bunch. Carr sets the screen for Hildreth. The switch from Filipowski. Hildreth ducks inside for 2 more. He's got a dozen. And the biggest lead tonight for Wake at 15.
Well, he really wormed his way in there.
Slithering on through. Filipowski answers.
I just don't think that Wake Forest has anybody down inside who can guard him effectively.
Who can guard him? Appleby missed it at the rim. Recovered, though, by Carr. Appleby thought about it. The crowd wanted him to trigger. Hildreth. Can't hit. Another offensive rebound. And then Hildreth is bumped and fouled by Grandison, his first.
And how about that offensive rebound by Hildreth? He got up off his backside to chase that ball down.
So retains possession for Wake. And John Shire is trying to find answers. So he goes to Jaden Shute, 14 in blue. Freshman from Yorkville, Illinois, playing in his 6th collegiate game, known for his, incidentally, shooting. He's only played 43 minutes this year. Appleby on a step back. And the rebound to Young. Didn't shoot 3 for 3 from 3. Last game for Duke against Maryland Eastern Shore. And Roach burrowing inside again. He draws a foul. On his drives, it just doesn't seem like there's been a lot of breathing room for him.
There hasn't been a lot of breathing room, but he has really got some contact in there. The Wake Forest defense has been pretty good, creating difficult opportunities for Duke, particularly keeping them out on the perimeter.
They can run Jaden Shute off screens.
Well, you got to guard somebody named Shute.
Oh, good footwork from Ryan Young.
We talked about the fact that Young is a very skilled back to the basket post guy, and you saw it right there. Great footwork. Great shot at the goal.
Back into the starting lineup, his 4th start of the year. Hildreth can Shute, hang with him defensively. Bradford backs down on Young, and Bradford scores.
And that was a good pass, but Bradford, I don't think really helped Hildreth very much on that particular play. Just really nice job inside. The great pivot. You know, and the whole thing is he didn't try to dribble it too much in there, just the pivot, and then Bradford, you know, he just uses that physical size down on the interior. I thought he could have cut to the basket and made that an easier play, but Wake Forest will take the basket anyway.
He was at one point listed at 270 pounds. He's dropped a lot of weight. Shute cut, too strong on a floater, and a player still down, and that's Cam Hildreth for Wake.
He got in the way. Somebody went right through his chest. There's a lot of stuff going on in there.
Steve Forbes always talks about the toughness when he speaks of Cam Hildreth.
He's holding his hand.
He'll check out for Damari Monsanto.
He's trying to stay in front there. Let's see really what happened. It looked like he was holding his hand, and he tried to catch himself as he was going down. And he looks very uncomfortable.
That shoulder, too, the way his arm is just drooping there.
I hope he's okay.
Monsanto. No dice and a push-off on Bradford on the rebounding action. Jockeying there with Filipowski. And that's 3 on the big Davion Bradford.
Now that's a break for the Blue Devils because Monsanto was wide open. He doesn't miss many of those.
Only 1 for 5 for Damari Monsanto from three-point land tonight.
But I guarantee you he's not going to stop shooting.
That's a fact. Margin 13. Filipowski shut up. Shoot a good cut. And now Mitchell slicing on Carr. And Mitchell will go to the line.
Really good attack by the Duke Blue Devils that time. Good ball movement. Guys driving it in, drawing the defense, kicking it back. Taking advantage of the defensive rotations.
Mitchell 3 for 3 at the line. He's good on the first. College basketball doubleheader for you tomorrow night right here on ACC Network and the ESPN app. First up, 6:30 Eastern, it's Virginia Tech and Boston College, and then Florida State and Notre Dame. Virginia Tech's off to a very nice start this year.
Virginia Tech has played very well. Virginia Tech and Miami, probably the 2 biggest surprises in the ACC so far.
Appleby draws a Grandison foul.
Well, you try to get in front of this guy, and he just keeps going. Now, they taped up Hildreth's wrist on the bench. The trainer taped it up, and Hildreth, without talking to anybody, walked past the coaches and went to the scorer's table. And the coach said, no, go back and sit down. So they taped up his wrist, and he was going to put himself back in the game.
Through that pain, he is quite literally salivating to get back in.
And an interesting point here. We've got 12 minutes and 10 seconds left in the game, and the Blue Devils, that was their 7th team foul. So the Deacons are going to be able to get to the line here. Now the Deacons have 16 fouls, so the next foul by Steve Forbes' guys, the Blue Devils will be getting to the line. So we might have a lot of free throws shot here in the last 12 minutes.
We promise we'll get to the Coral Gables eventually later on tonight. Appleby's got a dozen to go along with those 6 assists. Roach on the baseline. Grandison cuts, moves for Mitchell to knock it down. Mark Mitchell's second 3. He's got 14 points.
You know, he doesn't shoot a lot of them, but he picks his spots with those 3-point shots. And you said that's a little bit of a line drive, but it's a good looking stroke.
And this extended pressure caused problems for Wake. Rutgers did it and posed problems with turnovers for the Deeks. Monsanto, way too much space.
Can't give him that much room.
And now traveling calls, and this place is loud.
This really nice ball movement and knocks it down, and I'm telling you what, Monsanto gets open, he gives it away the first time, but when he gets it back, no doubt what he's going to do.
Knocked down 6 threes Saturday. You've got a nickname for him as well.
Well, Damari Monsanto, whether he's hot or not, he's going to keep shooting it, and you know, it's very funny. Talked about Monsanto. There's the Sunliners, VFA 81. They're the Oceania-based fighter squadron for the Navy, but their motto is anytime, any place, and I believe that's Monsanto's motto as well.
Dan, that is among your finest work in a 40-plus year career in this industry.
Just hope I don't get any trouble with the Navy.
Oh, yes, we don't want that.
There's another turnover.
7 this half.
Now, you saw Monsanto, his three-point shooting numbers and two-point shooting numbers are much better than Sunliners, but they don't really shoot very many two-points and three-pointers. So they're shooting different things.
Not their focus.
No. A different mission.
Oh, and he had all sorts of space on that 3 before break. 14-point game, still a long way to go.
Long way to go, and remember, Wake Forest has had turnover problems. Duke trying to pick up the defensive pressure, and normally when you're behind in a game, you start your comeback on the defensive end. Well, Blake's he's doing everything he can to keep the ball away from Appleton.
Roach and Young on the bench right now.
This is a shot.
Sunliner wanted that one, and then Bradford and Filipowski get wrapped up. And Kyle Filipowski gets tagged for the foul, his second.
Well, that was a pretty good response by Bradford because he got it with one arm because Filipowski had him by the other one.
So
Filipowski is fortunate that he didn't drop that one down. Pull down the arm. He could have got himself a hook and hold flagrant. Filipowski has really struggled tonight. Just has never been able to find a rhythm. And Roach has turned the ball over 4 times.
Roach and Filipowski have been the 2 best players this season. They've combined for 9 of the 12 Duke turnovers. Roach getting ready to come back in for John Shire. Mitchell's been good tonight. Bounces for Young. Filipowski passed up the 3 this time. And then Appleby tried to pick it. Filipowski saved it. Proctor rises and hits.
Well, that is a big shot for the Duke Blue Devils. Tyrese Proctor coming in only a 24% three-point shooter. And for the Blue Devils to avoid that turnover and then make a 3, that's a big basket. Let's see if that can get him going.
Proctor's second bucket of the night. Monsanto bounces for Bradford. He walks with it indeed.
Appleby comes so close to getting that one, but what a great play by Filipowski to get rid of the ball when he's laying on the ground, and then the penetration by Blake creates a wide open three-point opportunity.
Bradford to the bench. Matt Marsh replaces him in the front court for the Deacons. Duke trying to trim this to single digits midway through the second half. They've only led for 19 seconds in this game the first couple of minutes, if you're just joining us.
Well, there's
Hildreth back in. Blakes, he connects. He's got 10. And how big has Jalen Blakes been for Duke? Steve Forbes wants a timeout. And Jalen Blakes is cooking on the road. Jab step, knock it down.
This is the closest the Blue Devils have been in the second half.
A month ago, we were sitting at Cameron, and John Shire said to us, Jalen Blakes has turned around games for us, even that early in the season. Well, he's trying to do it here in a game in which Duke is trailed by as many as 15 here in the second half, and they wrap up Monsanto, but it's a foul against the Blue Devils. 3 on Filipowski.
Monsanto, now this is something you don't see very often. Monsanto going to the free throw line. This is only his 4th trip to the free throw line this year. Twice he was fouled shooting 3s. Once he had 3 shots, the other time he made it. And then he had an and 1. And the other time, it was in the Rutgers game. He was the victim of a flagrant foul, and he had 2 shots. So this is very unfamiliar territory for Damari Monsanto.
I can tell he fascinates you.
Well, it's just some interesting statistical anomalies. The guy never goes to the free throw line.
Shows up there here in the second half, and he made both. 10-point lead, 9 to go.
I think those were 2 pretty big points. Wake needed to do something to stop that momentum.
Roach moved it for Blakes. Attacking, kicking, extra pass, Filipowski. Too strong, and he is still dry from deep 0-4.
Now, you're not going to get better look than that. Great ball movement by the Blue Devils. They did everything but make the basket. Now they got to have to get a defensive stop.
The Horns look for Wade. Josh hangs on to it near the sideline. Roach draped all over him. What defense from Jeremy Roach.
Roach does a really nice job cutting him off, and Appleby tried to sell that one as the ball bounced off Roach, but it did not. Appleby can be loose with the basketball sometimes, but you know, you take the good with the bad with him.
He's got 7 turnovers. Young sets the screen for Tyrese Proctor. Bounce back for Blakes. Oh, he knocks down another.
And that was with a hand in his face. You just feel a little bit of energy from the Duke Blue Devils now. Game's a little easier when the ball starts going to the basket.
Up top, Martian answer.
What's that, the 4th time we've seen that tonight?
How good is this shaping up to be down the stretch? Mitchell, no foul. Monsanto pushes. Appleby hoists. Can't hit. Young tries to save it, and it squirts out to Carr. Hildreth and Carr slow it down for the Deeps.
Hildreth's going to try to back it in again.
On Roach. Flicked it up, no. Young clears it.
Boy, that ball rolled all the way around the rim.
Blakes has a career-high 13, a career-high 3 threes. He's feeling it. Backs it out on Appleby and now directing traffic. Blakes skips it. Here's Proctor. Spins it out.
They've missed a couple of wide open looks from 3, but again, Proctor's not noted for his 3-point shooting prowess.
24% in his freshman season. Blakes doesn't like that foul call, and that is 4 on Jalen Blakes with 6.5 to go. Blakes at one end and Marsh and the Deeks at the other. They've got the lead by 9 down the stretch in Winston-Salem.
North Carolina. That is a heck of a stretch.
Flip side for Duke. We told you they last played 10 days ago. They play here, then they don't play again until New Year's. So they played 12 games in 33 days. No power conference team in the country played more in that time, and now they play 1 time in 20 days.
Well, it's just a weird quirk of the schedule. The first break is exams. The second break is the holiday break. Still plenty of time left in the game.
And how important is Jalen Blakes? He is still out there with his 4 fouls with 6.5 left.
Well, you can see if Wade can take advantage of that with Proctor.
Oh, Young missed the bunny.
With Appleby. You see now Proctor is going to guard Appleby. And let's see if Wade tries to post Hildreth up against Blakes.
Hildreth fighting through pain. He's got that right wrist wrapped after the fall at the other hoop earlier this half. Hildreth, short, slapped out of there by Blakes to Proctor. Mitchell can't hit. Offensive rebound, and Blakes drew a foul on Appleby. And that's 2 on Tyree Appleby.
Now, Hildreth did exactly what we thought he was going to do, take the ball down inside. I think Hildreth was surprised that Blakes fell down because he sort of short-armed that one. But Blakes on the offensive end, even with those 4 fouls, he continues to be extremely aggressive.
First trip to the line, 64% this year. Makes the first. We'll have another special ACCPM for you tomorrow afternoon with the crew in Charlotte for the second night of the inaugural Jumpman Invitational. Latest from around the conference. And then the Tar Heels against Michigan. They'll preview that one. Coverage starts 4 Eastern right here on ACCN and the ESPN app. He makes both.
Well, you said he's 64% free throw shooter coming in, but he has done everything today.
He's never scored in double figures in his 2 years in Durham. He's got 15 tonight to lead all scorers. Carr straight on. Draws air.
Well, Steve Forbes is claiming that Young got a piece of that, but the officials don't agree. So it's down to 9 again.
Marsh back into the game for the Deacons. Young, good adjustment by Carr, got a hand on that.
That was a layup if Carr doesn't get his hand on the ball. Nice pass by Young.
Great passing big man. Proctor from the corner. Can't connect. Appleby the rebound. It stays at 9, coming up on 5 to go. Roach switched on to Hildreth, so it's Proctor again on Appleby. Hildreth goes to work. Hildreth down the lane for 2. He's got 14.
Well, he's had some kind of a performance.
Duke wants a timeout.
That was a problem, but he takes it up. Once the trainer takes it up, he tried to put himself back in the game. There you go. 14,
right by Steve Forbes.
14 points, 8 rebounds.
Lead is 11. Monsanto poked it away. Blakes recovers. Bounces for Filipowski. No. Marsh secures it.
That's a really good rebound by Marsh. He just out-fought Young for the ball. And again, Filipowski had a wide open shot.
See that offensive drought for Duke. Appleby turns it over, stumbling against Roach. That is Tyree Appleby's 8th turnover.
Well, he was looking for the foul right there. And, you know, he's trying to throw his body into Roach's, and I think he just knocked himself off balance.
Appleby comes to help, and he was the last to touch it. Stays with Duke.
Yeah, 8 turnovers is a lot.
Not at 100% on his bad ankle. Filipowski got tied up, somehow got that out to Blakes, who slashes and finishes.
Well, they're sure glad they brought him tonight.
Trying to single-handedly keep Duke within striking distance down the stretch. But Wake has had answers. Cut from Hildreth. Filipowski forces a Carr turnover. Steve Forbes can't believe it. Inside of 4 to go. Back to Winston-Salem after this.
Really forced anything ever since early in the game. Early in the game, he was trying to post up and made a couple of mistakes. He has 3 turnovers, and most of them came early. And here's the 2 guys who have led the way tonight.
Filipowski missed another 3, but Roach on the offensive glass will go to the line. He gets fouled with 3:30 left and Duke down 9.
And I remember, we've talked about how effective they are on the offensive boards. We haven't seen that tonight, but here down the stretch would be a good time for them to get going.
Roach's first trip to the stripe. Only 3 points for Jeremy Roach. John Shire told us this morning that yesterday was the first time that Roach practiced fully. It's a toe injury that goes back to Thanksgiving weekend out in Portland against Purdue.
Anybody who's ever had a problem with a toe knows that that's really a hard thing to even move around, much less play basketball.
He's got 4 points, 7-point cushion for Wake with the basketball. Monsanto. No. And a rebound, Mitchell.
Well, you take that shot. Monsanto will make that shot most of the time.
Duke can make it a 2-possession game. Offensive foul, and Hildreth took the charge.
Boy, if you want a tough play, then Hildreth is your guy. This is just a great job moving his feet. Now remember, he's got that wrap on his wrist, and it looked like he put his hands down again, and he's holding his wrist right now. He fell on that wrist earlier, and he just fell on it again.
Delay of game warning then followed on Jeremy Roach, who then commits a foul on Appleby along the sideline right in front of the Duke bench.
That's a risky play by Appleby. He was really looking for the foul right there. And that's now 4 on Roach. So Roach has 4, Blake has 4.
With 3:10 left.
And that's sort of a problem because you're going to need your guards to be aggressive trying to defend the Wake ball handlers.
This is not the guy you want to foul either.
No.
88% this year, and Appleby is 10 of 11 at the stripe tonight.
Well, what did Steve Forbes tell you? That he wanted Appleby to get to the line more? Well,
this works.
Absolutely. Paying attention to the coach.
He makes both. Grandison pop free. Back iron. Hildreth climbs for the board.
Great block out by Marsh. You need to be tough with the basketball, but you don't want to lose your aggressiveness.
Wake trying to thread that needle here. Hildreth on the step through Bennett.
Now that's the first time he's gone all the way to the goal. I think he confused the Blue Devils.
Young responds.
Hey, he's really good at that, isn't he?
He's had a big night as well. 8 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists for Ryan Young. And Hildreth had been stopping short, mid-post every time.
Had that little pull-up. Again, you don't want to get overly conservative here.
Appleby for Monsanto. Attacking the closeout in the mid-range. Inside of 2 minutes. Roach at the rim. And John Shire takes a quick timeout with 1:54 to go. 9-point game.
It was a long time. Came to them from East Tennessee, and so, you know, they know one another pretty well. But that was a really good play by Monsanto.
And how helpful when Davian Williamson is still sorting through that back injury for the last month. Hildreth went tumbling out of control. Carr bails him out. Appleby's got it. Still 20 seconds to soak here on the shot clock. Appleby is bumped by Filipowski. That's 4 on Kyle Filipowski as well.
Filipowski does a really nice job at his size being able to stay in front of perimeter players, but you know, the guards haven't been able to stay in front of Appleby tonight. That's a big ask for Filipowski.
Quickness and speed, 2 of the first things that Steve Forbes talks about with Tyree Appleby. And it just causes so many problems. I mean, who really, for long stretches tonight, has been able to stay in front of him?
Well, nobody. Not for long stretches. And you talk about his ability to attack the basket and Monsanto's ability to stretch the defense. When Wake is playing well, those 2 guys are in the middle of it. And, of course, Hildreth just gives you that toughness that you have to have if you're going to be a good team.
90 seconds to go. The lead 11 for the Demon Deacons against the number 14 team in the country. Grandison, no. Young cleans it up. Back down to single digits.
Now, I ideally, you'd like to try to keep the ball out of Appleby's hands if you can.
A lot of dribbling from Damari Monsanto into a double team. They've got a trap. And a timeout taken by Steve Forbes.
The timeout was called before the foul. There was a foul called, but I think the timeout came before the foul.
So one left for... By the way, if you're looking for Virginia, Miami, we will get you to that as soon as this one is done. We'll take you down to Coral Gables with Jay Alter and the coach Seth Greenberg. Hildreth gets it into Appleby.
The double team trying to get it out of his hands.
Carr gets bumped. Blakes collided with him. And if they do get Blakes, he's done. So Jalen Blakes fouls out with a minute to go after doing yeoman's work for a shorthanded Duke team tonight.
When Marsh comes in the game and Williamson goes out, and he's in there for defense. You don't want Marsh in there when you have to shoot free throws.
Carr makes the first.
He doesn't go to the line a lot, but he's a 71% free throw shooter.
He's got a good-looking stroke. 5 Wake players in double figures. Proctor checked in for Blakes. Filipowski drives to the rim and doesn't get the roll. Altered by Marsh and Carr.
I think Marsh actually got a piece of that one.
This place can fill. Monsanto.
Of course.
Exclamation point!
He wasn't trying to do that.
Roach with a response. 24 seconds left. 11-point game, and what a performance for Wake Forest.
Particularly coming off a tough loss to Rutgers. This was a gut check for the Deacons, and they responded. What an effort.
The final in Winston-Salem, and for Steve Forbes in year 3 at Wake, his first win over an AP top 25 team. How about that?
Really, really a good team.